Okay, so in this lesson you're going to learn how to do relative coordinates. Relative coordinates are different than absolute coordinates, and the key part of the word relative is like you'd think of a family tree. You're related to other people. So coordinates that are relative have to do with where you want to go from where you are. So how is where you're going related to where you've been? So, and you're talking about the x and y axis. So you are someone's son or daughter, but you may also be someone's sister or brother or cousin. So it all depends on where you're coming from. You can also think of it this way. It's kind of like giving street directions. If you say to someone, go up 2 blocks and take a right, that's the same as relative coordinates. It does matter where you start from, because that will determine where you go. So it matters if you start in Louisiana or Maine if you tell someone to go up 2 blocks and take a right. So let's take a look at our Cartesian plane with our x and y. You can see on the blue line that's the x-axis, and the yellow arrows are the y-axis. Along the left of the x-axis is the negative x, negative numbers, and along the right-hand side you'll see the positive. Y is in the positive direction when it's headed up, and in the negative direction when it's headed down. So here we have a little house and a little car, and the house lives at x1, y0. That's an absolute coordinate because it lives exactly at that specific spot on the grid. But let's say that you want to go out for some ice cream. Okay, and the ice cream place is this way. It lives at absolute coordinate 10, 10. Just kind of like you would punch into your GPS the address, that we're going to kind of drive ourselves there. So you would need to tell the program, AutoCAD, how you are changing in the x direction first and then the y direction. So we need to go 9 units to the right, which ends up being 9x. And then we need to go 10 units up, which would be 10 on the y. So here's what that looks like. You tell the program to move 9 on the x, and so you'll drive this way, okay, positive x direction, and then you tell it to move 10 on the y. So then you're at the ice cream place. And the way that you would actually type this in AutoCAD looks like this. So in AutoCAD, you type relatives in this way. Use the @ sign, which is up over the 2 on your keyboard, Shift 2, just like an email, at 9, 10. You always start with the x coordinate change first. So in this case, we moved 9 on the x first, and then 10 on the y. Now these were both positive numbers, so this is the question I have for you. How do you get home again? So if you started out at the ice cream store and you're trying to get home, how would you get home again? You can't tell it to go 9 on the x this time, or else you would drive even further away from the ice cream store and home. So this is what you do. You move -9 on the x, and then you would move -10 on the y, and that gets you home again. So that's how you'd write it in, is at -9, comma, -10. And that would let the program know that we're going to the left on the x and down on the y. So why would you actually care about these in real life? Well, let's say you had to design this skateboard. This skateboard, let's say this deck in between here, between the circles I have here, is about 18 inches, just a guess. If you can't really see this keyboard as a grid, like an absolute coordinate grid, so you can't really say that one end is 1, 1 and the other end is, I guess you could like measure it out and figure that out that way. But it'd be much easier to say, well, that's 18, so let's just move 18 in that direction. So you could go in AutoCAD, you could start that corner on the left at 1, 1, and then do a new line with a relative coordinate at 18, 0. And that will bring you 18 inches to the right. So just to wrap up, a relative coordinate is where the next coordinate will be that you're going to compared to where you were on the x and y axis right now. It's a lot like street directions. You say go up 2 blocks and take a right. Don't forget, if you're going in negative directions, you need negative numbers, so left and down are both negatives. And you need to start with an absolute coordinate for this to work. You can't just go into the program and say go up 2 streets and take a right, because you have to know where you're starting. So just keep that in mind. And next you're going to be making a spiraling square using relative coordinates. It's important that you follow the relative coordinates on the sheet, and you will get the spiraling square that you're looking for. And I will leave directions in the next part of the video on how to get the 4 by doing a spiraling diamond. Okay, so now we're going to try to make the spiraling square. To get started in here, let's check. We're going to use our relative coordinates to make this happen. I just want to check and see if there's anything on the status bar that we need to change, and I don't think there is. So I'm gonna, if your status bar looks like this one here, with the grid turned on and the object snap turned on, then you should be all set. So make sure you're in the drafting tool set. I'm going to go to line, and we're going to start this drawing at 1, 1, because remember you can't have a relative coordinate without having a starting point. So we're going to start at 1, 1 and hit enter. So now we're here. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a square that spirals. So it's going to go up and then to the right, and then down and to the left, and up and to the right and down to the left. But in order for it to spiral, it needs to get smaller as it goes, otherwise it would just make a square. So we're going to use relative coordinates to make this happen, and I'm going to get you started, and then you're going to finish it. So it's asking for us for the next point down here, so I'm going to type in at, and I want to go up first, so we're not moving on the x, so I'm going to put in 0 for x, comma, 10 for the y, and then I'm going to hit enter, and I should get a straight up and down line, which I do. And I want to head 10 over to the right, which is positive in the x direction. So I'm going to say at 10, because we're moving on the x, comma, and now we're not moving up and down this time, so we put 0 for the y. Enter. Okay, now, for this to work, 2 things need to happen. I can't use 10 anymore because it will become a square. So I'm going to use, let's use 8. Let's go by even numbers. So I'm going to do 8. So I need it to go down, not up. So in order for it to go down, first of all, I'm not moving on the x direction, so I need to put at 0, comma. But for it to go down and not up on the y, I need this to be a negative number, so I'm going to do -8. Enter. Okay, and then the same thing going this way, at, and now I'm moving negative on the x, so I need to go -8, comma 0 this time. Enter. If you make a mistake, don't forget, you can type U and enter to undo one line backwards. Okay? So now, this is 10, 10, this is 9, 9, the lengths of these lines anyway. Okay? So now I need you to finish this off until you get to about 4, 4, 4. Okay? Once you've gotten to 4, 4, then you will take a picture, you'll hit escape, so you'll be done. You'll take a picture of your drawing and hand that in. If you are interested in the 4, here's how the 4 works. I'm going to click on the line tool. I'm just going to sketch it roughly so you can see what we're looking for. We're going to do this a similar thing. It's going to be a spiral, but it's going to be a diamond shape. So imagine this turned on its side. Now, it can't be just as hodgepodge as I'm doing it here. It needs to be uniform. It needs to be like we took this square and rotated it. So here's the suggestion I'm going to make to you. Find a point somewhere out here and just type it in to get started. So I'm going to go, it looks like, I don't know, 18, 8, just to get started. Okay? And decide how long the lengths of your lines need to be. Okay? So if you want them to be at 45-degree angles, right, then you could go up 10 and over 10. So I could do at 10, 10. So this time it's going to change on the x and the y together. Okay? So what you'll need to be thinking about as you go around is this is up 10 over 10. This one's going to be over 10 down 10. So what does that mean in terms of how you type it in on relative coordinates? Okay, and again, you're going to need to shrink it up every 2 line lengths. So this is 10, 10, 10, 10. This will be, the next one will be, like if we were going here, would be 8, 8. Okay, 8, 8. So I think you get the picture. And remember, if you screw up a line length, just type in the U to go back and hit enter, and it will take you back. Okay, so good luck, and I think you'll be pretty successful with this one.